Owen Corrie, to go out your back and tan, what do you think?
Oh, it's fantastic. And this is one thing that would actually sort of affect holiday bookings. If people could actually book holidays when the sun turns, Ireland's a beautiful place, and a lot of people are at home in beautiful places around the length and breadth of the country. What a great country we live in.
TravelExtra.ie. Listen, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know you're a very, very busy man and we won't keep you too long. A lot of people have been texting in since I promoted this piece an hour ago, talking about the issues and talking about their refunds, and Ryanair saying they'd give people refunds. Myself, a month ago, I had to cancel a flights regarding a soccer trip over to Norwich, and they said, yeah, you'll get a refund. Still haven't got anything. That's more than 28 days ago now. What is the situation?
I won't even think about what you were doing going to Norwich for a soccer trip, Damien.
We had a plan for, we were bringing 20 young lads over as part of it. It's just,
wonderful, wonderful. But the situation is that Ryanair were the best in class up till last Monday. They were the only major airline saying we're going to refund you. Listeners will be familiar with that little form you got on the website. It said this is your put in your details. We're going to refund you under EU 261. Then you got an email saying it's going to take a little bit longer than we thought. Everybody was reasonably happy with that. Then the Monday came and it said, we're offering you a voucher instead. And even though it did say, if you want a refund, please contact us. When it led you to the website, it then didn't have a link for you to contact them to say, we thank you for the voucher offer, but I prefer a refund. And if you went onto the online chat then, which I did myself, obviously I was working on other things, but I kept it open for 6 hours waiting for a reply. What they do is send you back saying there are 4 ways of redeeming your voucher. No, I want a refund. Then you get there are 4 ways of redeeming your voucher. They're really put the shutters down, and legally you're entitled to a refund. It's very simple, Damien. The same laws apply as did at the outbreak of this. But it's quite clear that different countries around Europe are kicking the first touch on this. EU 261 applies with refund within 14 days. Package Holiday Directive applies, says the same thing, refund within 14 days. But because the aviation industry is facing imminent collapse if everyone looks for the refunds, we now have 7 countries, including some of the biggies like Germany, France, Italy, locally saying we're changing the legislation to allow vouchers for a period, maybe 12 months, and then you get your refund if you haven't used it. And that is all subject to EU clearance. It has to be approved by Brussels. And this process is going to take a long, long time, particularly if the virus takes a long, long time to clear and the scale of the bills facing the airlines climbs, which it is by the day.
Ned texted us in, and it may apply obviously to the future, but it's an important one. Just correct me if he's right on this. If you're looking for refunds from Ryanair, if people are booking flights in the future, always use the PayPal option in payment, because they can refund money straight away to your account. No need to be looking to Ryanair. Is that true?
Absolutely. Chargeback is a very important part of all of this. Chargeback conditions are changing even last week. But if you're seeking a refund, under current circumstances, credit card should be your first stop. PayPal should be your first stop if you're using PayPal. Remember, the credit card chargeback is important as well.
And can I just ask you, 8,000 people have contacted this Competition and Consumer Protection Commission since February. If you really, really need the money, and if Ryanair are acting the Egypt witch or another company is acting the Egypt, what can you do? Because you could be on phone calls, as you say, for hours and hours and hours trying to get this sorted. Is the system set up in such a way, Owen, to allow consumers their rights and their refunds in appropriate time?
The system is set up in such a way that maybe we'd shut down for 3 days through a big ice storm, or remember the ash cloud which closed us down for 10. It was not set up for this. What we've seen, and let's get this right, Ryanair have, as I said, they were offering refunds. Aer Lingus came quickly in with a voucher. It's 110% of your fare. That's what they really, you can still find a refund option on the Aer Lingus website, but it's a jigsaw puzzle to find it. EasyJet, British Airways took the refund option off the website. Lufthansa say they're not against refunds in principle, but the people will have to wait a while. Air France, KLM, everybody's saying the same thing. The American Airlines came in with this idea of you'll have a voucher for 1 year, at the end of it you'll get refunds. The interesting thing there is that when they went to the government for aid, as the American Airlines did, one of the conditions that the politicians put on their was that they would give refunds. So they, last week, are giving refunds. Middle Eastern Airlines, they're saying you get your refund at the end of it. One of the British Airlines that flies out of Belfast, Jet2, is saying 2 years. Everybody is doing the same thing. We obviously, Ryanair are huge for Ireland. And what was interesting is from Green's best in class, they were the ones I was on media saying, this is how it should be done. Ryanair, well-funded, good cash airline. I spoke too soon.
Very briefly, a texter, we got an email last night when we checked the link. It said we can have our money back, but only after the virus shutdown is over. Would that be right?
Yeah, there is a statement from Ryanair saying we'll put you in a queue, and when the shutdown is over, you start getting paid back. I'm not sure the logic of that, but I think part of what was going on is that Ryanair were looking at every other airline delaying the refund option. Everybody's bleeding cash. There's no bookings coming in. All the money's going in the other direction. The scale of the bills are enormous. Ryanair is looking at a €700 million bill. If you're the long-haul airlines are even worse. Lufthansa's is $3.5 billion. That's why the legislation, which is all still in place, has been overtaken by events. That's why the airlines are trotting off to Brussels saying these laws were brought in for different times. And obviously, if you want to get the ear of a government, you threaten to shut an airline down. It can hugely damage an economy if we lose 2 or 3 of our major traditional airlines.
Owen, very good. Ian has just texted in. He's Waterford's main Norwich fan. He says, the cheek of you to be asking about Norwich.
No, I still have very, very fond memories when Norwich contended with Manchester United for the Premiership. It was a fantastic few months there. And my little heart beats faster when I see that canary yellow. I actually remember watching the League Cup.
Yes.
Win the League Cup way back.
That's right.
A long time ago. Yeah.
That's right.
Before it was given a sponsor's name even. That's it.
Listen, Owen, thank you so much for talking to us. Mind yourself and your family, okay?
Pleasure. Thank you very much, Damien.
God bless Owen. Owen Corrie there from travelextra.ie. And yes, a text in from me, Waterford's Norwich fan. A very good text in. Fair play to you. I was going to explain that before the interviews in Lemmy Bryan. Damien, how far did you travel to do those interviews? Very, very good point. I was going to Dungarvan to interview Michael Walsh, who is the Waterford City and County Council manager, because we had to do the interview again face-to-face, but with more than a 2 metre of a distance for quality. We are considered essential service. Journalists are considered to do that. And part of the thing that what we're trying to do within this programme is try to reflect people's anxieties, people's hopes, people's joys, the community spirit that's people are out there. So I've been going to a few different places, been very careful about how the interviews are being done, maintaining all the social distances, not staying with people for longer than we'd say 2 or 3 minutes, and staying outside their homes. But that is a very good point and a very good question, and I meant to say that beforehand. Another texter, what about Aer Lingus and refunds? Says Tina, you've just heard it there. What about people paying for student accommodation, being offered no money back for apartments that have not been occupied since college closed? We have some information on that. Another texter saying, I was in Manila in the Philippines in the middle of February. I stayed in a hotel for 5 nights, another for 1 night. Everyone was temperature tested on entry at all times. There was also testing for all customers at entry to shopping malls. This is the temperature testing. 10 weeks later, we're doing none of this, says Billy in Tramore. We need to do more of that, says that texter. Another texter, I was away on holidays this week. I had booked with Aer Lingus to go an email option to refund. I was to be away on holidays this week. I'd booked with Aer Lingus to go an email option for refund plus 10%. A pleasure to deal with, says Joyce. Now, another man who's a pleasure to deal with is the wonderful Frank Quinlan. He's a runner. He's a triathlete. He is one of Waterford's best known runners, and he's doing this marvellous thing. You can check out the link on Facebook for his fundraising charity. He's doing 21 kilometres, effectively a mini marathon, half marathon, every day for 21 days. He's now into day 9. I think he's the only person in the country that is doing this. He needs all the support he gets. I went and did a little chat, again, for more than 2 metres of a distance with Frank. I was heading off for one of his runs. Frank Quinlan, good morning.
Good morning, how are you, Damien?
You're standing outside your beautifully painted house.
That's exactly it. That's one of the good things after coming out of this pandemic is that everyone has their house painted anyway and looking well.
Well, it is looking well. Fair play to you. Tell me, you're just about to set off on what day is it now?
This is the 8th day of the 21. So yeah, around this time every day I start off around 12:30, 1 o'clock. So I start off. I was running from here to Sanofi, which was a mile exactly to the roundabout. But now I'm running 2.5 miles down King's Road, down to Norris's, up Griffiths Place, down to the corner shop. So now psychologically I have 2.5 miles done before I get to Sanofi, which makes it 3.5 miles, so to speak, you know. So and then I'm kind of doing 8 miles. So that's bringing me around Bilberry, down the quay. But my house is the centre point of it. So as the crow flies, it's 2k. No matter where you go, north, south, east or west. So that takes me 11 miles back up here, and then I can do the same route 2.5 miles when I'm finished, you know.
To do a half marathon, a lot of people would be, it's a tough one to train for. To do 21 half marathons in 21 days. This is phenomenal. And anything could happen?
Well, that's exactly it. And I can't. Kieran Power now is my physio, you know, and normally I would get a rub of him, and because your muscles would be sore, and especially with the hot weather, you'd be dehydrated. So the danger, I can't be too complacent. I have to take every day as it comes. And as I said, if I get injured, I get injured. Nothing I can do about it. But at the moment, so far so good.
How are you?
Perfect. Not a bother. I run kind of basically 6 to 8 to 10 miles every day anyway before the pandemic happened. So that's why I kind of got this notion in my head when Leo announced the 21-day lockdown. I said, what could I do for to help people as well as challenge myself to get through it, you know. And as I said, so then I just decided, I just got this premonition, I'm going to do this, and at 10:30 on a Sunday night, and then I couldn't go to sleep at 12:30 then with the excitement of knowing this is the right thing to do.
And you're up early every morning?
That's it, yeah. I'm up at 6 and I start work at 7. I'm working, I changed career recently. I'm working for Joseph O'Brien riding racehorses, so that's kind of a warm-up, so to speak. Like there can be a few difficult 2-year-olds up there. They're young horses, so it takes a bit of experience to ride these, but I have that from years ago, and I love doing that, so that's why I changed my career, you know.
You're hoping to inspire people as well.
That's exactly it. It's I think everyone, like the Waterford Triathlon Club as well as Waterford Athletic Club, we're all doing our own kind of challenges amongst ourselves. We have our Garmin watch, and we could be challenging ourselves to run 200 miles in a month, and the Triathlon Club will challenge us to do 30 minutes exercise for 30 days, and then they challenge us to do a duathlon on Easter Sunday. So with the challenge and inspiring people, I think everyone should challenge themselves to do something kind of like even run 5k or walk 5k for the next until the 5th of May, just, and bring out your kids with you, like, you know. And it's a way, there's just so many people like they're probably eating a little bit more, they're drinking a little bit more, like they're not working, and the only thing to combat this is exercise. It's the key to life, and I said the more people exercise, the more you feel good about it. You know. So that, yeah.
Best of luck, mind yourself. I think you're absolutely stark raving mad.
Actually, look, we'll see. Time will tell, but
I'm just jealous. Jealous. It's brilliant.
Yeah, but look, I'm pacing myself very correctly. I'm running on my heart rate. I have a Garmin watch, and I'm running. You run between zones, so I'm running between on the zone 3, which means I'm running between 140 and 150 beats a minute, and that pace is roughly 7:30 per mile. So I'm challenging myself within the challenge to run them all under 100 minutes. So that's kind of we'll see how I get on with that. I'm comfortable at the moment, but look, as I said, it's early days. It's 8 days in, so when it goes into single figures, I'll start getting excited.
And we'll put all the details up on the website. Listen, mind yourself and take care.
Okay, thank you very much, Damien.
The wonderful Frank Quinlan, and judging by the comments on Facebook and on Twitter and responses in texts, he's a wonderful chap, a really, really nice guy. I don't know Frank very well, but the little that I do know about him, he's a really, really sound guy, and I want to wish him the very best as he continues his running and for the charity. It's fabulous, it really is. So if you can, please support him at all, and we'll have more up on our website later. Claire will be putting the videos up of Frank Quinlan, the superb and wonderful runner. Anybody that's out there doing going running within the 2 kilometre area, as you say. Stay safe and stay within the distance, and best of luck with all your runs. Next, we are going to be talking about doggies and cats, and maybe even a little bit about, rabbits. Now, in a minute, I'm going to be talking to William from City Vets. Damien, there's a time limit of 12 months from now on a Ryanair voucher. Good morning. I have 2 family bookings with Ryanair. Tickets worth €1,400. Been offered a voucher for the first booked. Have no idea how we'd spend €1,400 in vouchers the next year when we are both now unemployed. Happy 6th birthday to Jake Murphy. I don't know if I'm going to get to that song. Paddy says, yeah, the amount of rubbish that some people are dumping is awful. Never seen as much. Masks, gloves, dog poo everywhere. It's shameful. Other people saying regarding gyms are not important to be opened at this time of the year. They should stay closed. What's more important is to get people back to work and make sure we defeat this. Amanda says there was a lovely comment from Paul Area regarding Waterford City. Good morning. I was travelling on the back road from Lismore to Cappoquin last week. There was one duvet thrown on the road in a plastic bag and another in the river. That's pure laziness. I think duvets can be put in general bins as they're not recyclable. Another person talking about the city dump. We've had a statement in from the local authority. We are charging at the civic amenity areas, says the spokesperson, and all the details is on the website. Some local authorities did suspend charges, but large crowds attended at civic amenity areas and social distancing was very difficult, so the charges have been reinstated. Regarding the People's Park closing for certain hours, we are closing parks on a rolling basis to allow for essential maintenance and grass cutting within social distancing guidelines. Generally within the morning hours, and signage and gates will indicate when they are closed. And Clare doesn't have a programme as equipment and weather may be dependent. And Kevin phoned in to say he can't understand everyone knocking Ryanair when his flight was cancelled. He contacted the credit card company. The money was refunded straight away. He says only for Ryanair we wouldn't have cheap flights. Now, William, good morning.
Morning, Damien. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us. I went to do a little piece at City Vets yesterday with some people there, and again, you're maintaining the social distancing. You're only allowing one person in at a time. And that's the way to do it. I didn't actually stay because I saw a lady had. I'd say her pet may have been put down.
Okay, I did. Okay.
So I didn't go in because
delicate situation.
Very delicate situation, and people are having to deal with their pets as normal as possible, and yet it's so difficult. What do you have to say for people that haven't been able to get their dogs, for example, out for walks?
Yeah, it is one issue, and I suppose what again, I think like in the human situation, one of the more difficult areas we have to deal with is when cats or dogs are being put to sleep. So we're only allowing one person in with their pet at a time, whereas obviously normally when an animal has been put to sleep, perhaps the whole family might want to be there as that's being done. Just for safety reasons, we're not allowing that. All right, one case where a family, a man and a woman, were self-isolating. They were vulnerable, and their dog had to be put to sleep. And they asked me to call out to the house. The dog was they'd left the dog on the patio on the terrace outside the house, and they watched through the patio window as I put the dog to sleep. But obviously they weren't there to actually be able to physically hold the dog as I was doing that. So yeah, it does. That's one area that's where it has been difficult to follow our normal pattern of allowing the owner to comfort the pet or to be there with the pet, which obviously is good for both the owner and the pet. We are putting in precautions, and as businesses are thinking about reopening or should be starting to think about reopening, and they have to start planning for that. Perhaps what we're doing and what other businesses that have been open during the outbreak can learn a little bit from that. So, as you said, the first thing we realised we had to do was control the flow of people into the building. Once you get people into the building, it's really hard to. Once you allow people in, it's really hard to ensure social distancing. So we realised very quickly that we would have to lock the door. You'd have to either lock the door or have somebody permanently at the front entrance to your premise. And I think that's true of any business that's thinking about reopening whenever that time comes. There'll have to be somebody permanently actually standing at the door, stopping people from coming in and only allowing one person in at a time or in a controlled way. And we go so far as to actually spray. We actually have surgical spirit in spray bottles, which is a good disinfectant, and we actually spray everybody's hands as they come in. So what would be kind of strange under normal circumstances? I mean, that would seem kind of rude, perhaps, under normal circumstances. But you have to perhaps ignore some of those and say to people, look, well, I'm just going to spray your hands here. And of course, when everyone understands that, and everyone thinks that's a good idea because they know then that the surfaces inside the building are clean. So you have to be a little bit forceful and impose your restrictions on people as they come in, and of course everyone then accepts that because they know the circumstances that we're all in. There's
a little bit of confusion in the last 2 weeks in particular regarding possibility of animals getting COVID. What's the latest scientific advice that you've been reading, William? So currently, it is, as you say, a slightly changing situation. Currently, there is no evidence of animal-to-person transmission. So there's been 2.5 million cases of COVID in humans. There's been none of those that have been linked from an animal to human transmission, except possibly the first one. Still an open question. It was either someone in contact with a bat, or else somebody in the Wuhan virus laboratory that mixed up the recycling and the destroy by incineration boxes. I'm still not quite sure which. But anyway, no evidence so far. Yes,
no evidence so far, and it doesn't seem interesting. There isn't good evidence for spread in the very first cases were spread in the Wuhan market where the initial outbreak started. The very first people who got it in China in November don't seem to have had contact with that market, so that's where it spread. So it's still an open question where it came from.
But anyway, as you say, there's nothing.
Apart from that first case, there's no evidence of animal-to-people transmission. Having said that, there has been some transmission the other way. So there have been a number of animals that have been infected by people. So there are a few cases. The first two were 2 dogs in Hong Kong that I mentioned when I was speaking to you last, and they were monitored and cleared themselves of the virus. Since then, there have been a couple more cases. There was a cat. Cats seem to be more susceptible than dogs to picking up COVID. We know that cats can have contracted COVID from their owners. And there was a case in Belgium of a person that had the virus and spread to the cat. And the cat developed some symptoms and was tested, and both secretions both from the intestine and from the respiratory tract were found to be positive for COVID. And cats that were infected experimentally in China with very high doses, in an unnatural way, very high doses of the virus, subsequently showed some signs and were able to spread that to other cats within that environment.
And did they die?
No. In all these cases, the animals have had a very mild disease, which has resolved itself without any great difficulty. And I think, apart from that experimental setting where cats were infected with a very high dose, there's no evidence of animals infecting each other. So there's no evidence of it spreading from one cat to another, except in that one experimental situation. And then, of course, the tigers. What made us all sit up a little bit were the tigers in Bronx Zoo.
Yes.
Where four Malaysian tigers were infected by their keeper, who had asymptomatic COVID. Obviously, when you see tigers being infected, obviously quite readily, you're kind of thinking, well, tigers aren't very dissimilar, not very distant from our domestic cats. But anyway, fortunately, tigers seem to be more susceptible than cats. So unless you're keeping a tiger, the current recommendations are that people who are sick with COVID, who have signs of the virus, should limit contact with companion animals. Because they do have the potential to spread the disease to the companion animals.
Okay.
Although I say companion animals mild disease, but that's the current recommendation. If you're sick with COVID, and the other thing, then animals belonging to infected owners should be kept indoors as far as possible. So if you're in a house, you have the virus, you're isolating yourself, you have a cat, you should keep that cat indoors as far as possible.
Okay.
Just perhaps as an abundance of caution. But anyway,
that'd be quite difficult.
Recommendation.
Quite difficult for a lot of people, because a lot of people that are cocooning or just staying indoors more than normal, obviously, their pet cat or dog or rabbit, whatever it is, will be a source of joy and comfort and
yes,
company.
Absolutely. So this doesn't apply to people who are healthy but who are cocooning. Okay, it doesn't apply to people who are healthy or cocooning. If you're in that situation,
you're fine.
You're fine.
That's important.
This advice only applies to people who are actually sick, who actually have signs consistent or have been tested, shown positive for the COVID-19, that they should limit contact with companion animals. But it doesn't apply to people who are cocooning.
And I'm going to put a call out there. If any of our listeners has a tiger, if you're keeping a tiger at home, please text us in, because I'd like.
Well, please keep it indoors.
The Tiger King. Did you watch the Tiger King?
I haven't had the chance to. I've actually been quite busy. I know everyone else is. What happened. I've kind of gone through Netflix at this stage. I haven't even started on the Tiger King.
I watched it. Yeah, it's horrendous the way some of the animals are kept, and they're despicable characters within the program. But it's fascinating to see the way it's dealt with and the greed and the money and all that. But I want to talk to you about dogs in Roman times in a minute. Firstly, can I just ask you, Sandra's texted in, our golden retriever, almost 10, not too old, starting to show sign of arthritis, limps at times, finds it hard to get up off the floor. We're giving him cod liver oil and glucosamine, I think, is that what it is? I think he may need something stronger. What would you recommend?
Absolutely, yeah. So look, it's a great time to start. Obviously, Labrador retrievers are prone to arthritis as they get older. I remember when I started practice, it used to be quite common that dogs would have to be actually eventually put to sleep because their arthritis was so bad that they just couldn't stand up anymore. And that's really, really rare now. It's really rare for that to happen because the treatments are so much better, or because people are applying the treatment so much better. So yeah, absolutely, there are very effective treatments for arthritis, and obviously the earlier you start them and the more aggressively you do those, the better the outcome. So the first thing is always non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. So that'd be the equivalent to human aspirin, but there are products that are much safer and much more effective for dogs. So get a veterinary non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, and they're used long-term. There's the second thing that I often use is stuff called Keratin, which is an injection. It's given by injection once a week for 4 weeks, and the benefits of that then last for about 6 months. And Keratin, it helps to build up the healthy bone and cartilage inside the joint, so it helps to repair some of the damage that the arthritis is causing. And then the third thing is, or what you mentioned already, kind of joint supplements, cod liver oil and glucosamine. There are very specific ones which are better. Cod liver oil it's okay, but it's not the best thing. It's not the most effective thing for animals. So there are very specific. So those three things together, the non-steroidals, the Keratin injections, and the joint supplements, give really, really good control of arthritis long term. Okay.
You wanted to mention dogs in Roman times. Tell me, please, William.
Yeah, I saw this. I read this interesting article, and I thought Damien would love that one. About
you know me too well.
So is the Spanish? They were doing excavations in a Roman cemetery in Spain, and they dug up the remains of a companion animal dog, Pekingese type. It was basically the shape of a Pekingese dog, what we'd have today. So definitely not the normal. In those times, normally dogs were either hunting dogs or guard dogs. There were two types, but this was obviously not any good for either hunting or guard dogs. So it was definitely a companion animal dog. It was somebody's pet, kept as that. And there are two interesting things. One was that they knew they can look at the isotopes of carbon and oxygen in the body to find where the animal came from, find the origin of the animal. And it didn't come from Spain at all. From the isotopes, it didn't come from Spain at all. It wasn't a local dog. It came from somewhere, perhaps certainly on the Mediterranean coast, perhaps around northern Italy, that kind of area. So this dog had been transported, been bought or travelled quite a long way, and was sold to this obviously rich Roman person who lived in the south of Spain at the time. And there was mention of this. A guy called the famous Roman naturalist Pliny the Elder mentioned companion animal dogs, and what he reckoned they were good for was to relieve period pains in women. Okay. Now, I don't know if you could help me with this. Now, as one man speaking to another man about what a third man wrote, I'm totally in the dark. Okay, so perhaps your listeners can help. Does having a dog sitting on your lap help with period pains? Was Pliny the Elder right? Was that why people in Roman times had companion animal dogs? But it was interesting. So pet dogs have been around for a very long time, and they were bred. I say this wasn't just a chance. This is a very this very highly bred dog. It was a long way from a hunting dog or a guard dog, and obviously bred specifically for that purpose, and had been traded for that purpose. So obviously it's quite a valuable animal.
And there hasn't been any further scientific research into such matters in 2,500 years, has there?
Yeah, well, there is. It has been recorded historically, and we know actually different size of dogs. So very small dogs were bred a long time before that. They do exist in other historical sources. But as for the period pains, I don't know if that's. Don't know where they're researching that one.
Okay, we'll ask our listeners and see what they think. Yeah, we'll ask them, see what they think. William, mind yourself and take it easy, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thanks very much, Damien. Lovely to speak to you.
And yourself, William, from City Vets there. To you and your staff, William, and everybody that has a pet out there, take care and let us know. And if you have a tiger, please text us. We got a text from Michael saying, my wife tells me I'm a tiger in the bedroom. Does that qualify? No, Michael, it doesn't. The HSE says, this texter says, over 70s should stay at home. Community info advises we stay at home. But it's a bit unclear. I personally haven't been outside my front gate since March the 12th. I'm in the county, says this texter. Could you please give a big shout out to those that work in the Collect bin company? They're doing a great job. Yes, and to all the bin men and women that are out there, please take care and hope you're all well. Damien, there's a time limit of 12 months from now on Ryanair vouchers. Another texter, some guy called Matt says, some people have all to look. You had to cancel a trip to Norwich. You were going to the wrong Norfolk, Suffolk area. Ipswich rules. Matt. I'm not sure who that is. Now, in a minute, I'm going to be talking to Charlie Weston about car insurance rebates or no rebates, and regarding pets, dogs possibly helping to relieve period pains, regarding that Roman research that our vet did. A caller phoned in to say hot water bottles help, so a warm dog could possibly help. Charlie Weston, good morning.
Good morning, Damien. I hope you're well.
I'm very good, thank you, and hope yourself and you're keeping well, and your family and people within the Irish Independent Group.
Exactly. We've been working from home for 6-7 weeks now, I suppose, Damien. So, thankfully, hopefully, people are staying safe.
Pascal Donoghue has called on the industry to offer some kind of rebates to drivers, similar to what's happening in the US. Do you think they're going to do that, Charlie?
Well, they're under ferocious pressure, Damien, to do something. We're talking motor insurance here. It's a very profitable part of the insurance business. And at the moment, there's very little travel. Travel figures are well down. And injury claims are well down, which is the big cost for insurers, and it's the one they're always complaining about. So Pascal Donoghue has made the point that this is profitable. Motor insurance is very profitable. You need to give a break to policyholders who, it's not going to cost them at the moment as well. That's the other point, Damien. Some analysts in the major stockbroking houses in Dublin have been looking at it, saying, look, it'd be neutral. There wouldn't be any major cost here for insurers if they were to give rebates. This has happened in America, where the major motor or auto insurers, as they call them, have given refunds and discounts to their policyholders on the basis that travel is well down and injury claims are down. So the Insurance Ireland, the representative body for the insurers, after the meeting with Pascal Donoghue last Friday, where they were asked to do this, they said, look, they'd look at it, they'd reflect on it, was the phrase they'd used. But they made the point also, Damien, that no British or European insurer was doing this. Saying, look, why should we do it? Nobody else is doing it in Europe. That argument has been blown out of the water in the last 24 hours, because one of the big British insurers, Admiral, which provides cover for about 4.4 million vehicles, Admiral is giving back some money to its policyholders. It's offering rebates of somewhere around, it's just below €30. It's not a lot, but they're saying, we're saving, so here's some money back. So I think the pressure now is really mounting on the motor insurers here. Remember that the health insurers are offering refunds of up to 50% of the premiums for 3 months in the case of VHI. In Leia's case, they're saying they're giving set amounts back. Family of 2 children, 2 adults, they're talking about €500 of a refund. So, and that's on the basis as well that you're paying for a service and it's not fully available to you. So that the argument is strong now for motor insurers. I think they're under ferocious pressure on this one, Damien. I think they'll have to concede something.
Can I ask you then, following on from that, the government and people have been texting in this morning about this in advance of this piece, saying about a possible rebate in road tax. That's not going to be possible, is it?
No, I mean, I asked about that. I asked the Department of Transport on that, and they're not keen. Obviously, they're saying, look, it's not our call.
Surprise,
it's a Department of Finance
yeah.
issue. Money is needed to support the state. One thing they are saying is, look, if you have a van for work or a second car that you're not using at the moment, maybe declare it off the road. So write into the Department of Transport or your local authority where you pay your motor tax and say to them, look, the vehicle's off the road, here is the motor tax disc, but you have to do that for you'd have to do it at least 3 months.
Yeah, that's not going to be possible.
An option for everyone, because we don't know. That's the problem here. We just don't know when this thing will be lifted, and you may need to use the car again soon.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to be possible. Can I ask you, you know the insurance industry very well. Do you think they will do something on this regarding the possible rebates?
I think they'll have to do something. Now, they might try and be clever. They might try and say, look, we'll give you 20-30% off your premium renewal. Now, that is not a great one, because that means it'll discourage people from shopping around, and they'll just renew with the same insurer, and the insurance companies win there again. So, I mean, if it's something like that, I don't think that'd be acceptable. I think that'd be a bit underhand. But I'm hearing that that's the kind of thing that they're looking at. What would be far better was, look, if they just offered discounts to people. It'll be difficult to do. It's messy. Their systems will have to be changed to do it. But I think they could do it, and they should be. The minister has made it very difficult for them now to avoid doing this, so something will have to give on this one.
Charlie, mind yourself and your family and stay safe, OK?
Same to you, Damien. Thank you very much.
Lovely to talk to you, it really is. Charlie Weston there from the Irish Independent. Always good to talk to Charlie. I've a query, says this texter. Is there anywhere open that we can get paint? I don't know what part of the city or county you're in, texter, but there are click and delivery services by certain hardware shops. So it's certainly worth going online or giving them a call and saying the doors aren't open, but give them a call and see what the story is. There are some birthday requests. I'm not going to get to them all. I'm going to pass them on to Jeff for after 12 o'clock. But I do want to say happy 100th birthday to Mrs. Barry from the Norris's family. Mrs. Barry was great to her late ma'am. Congratulations. And that is in for Margaret, and a few other texted about Mrs. Barry. Damien, you were right. When you were outside City Vets yesterday, that was me and my wife inside. Our dog was put to sleep. It was a very hard time for us. We had her 17 years. I could see you crying inside, and obviously I wasn't going to go in and interfere with a very traumatic moment for any pet owner. Now, in a minute, I'm going to be talking to Julia Ward about the Twitter sensation that has become Where in Waterford. Fiona texted in first. I believe camper insurance should also be rebated, as we can't use our camper vans. Damien, I paid €575 last year for fully comprehensive insurance. It's now come in at a quote for €785. No claims. How can they justify this? And Anna's texted in saying that over 70s should be allowed out for a certain amount of the day. Julie Ward, good morning.
Hi, Damien.
How are you?
Good morning.
Good. The Twitter sensation, Where in Waterford? It was trending the other day. And for people that don't know Twitter and the little thing called a hashtag, they can put up this hashtag and just type in Where in Waterford. And people have been putting in pictures. It's like a little sort of a visual quiz, isn't it? Tell me, how did you start this?
Yeah, I tell you, I was just kind of giving some thought to the whole lockdown when it was coming on. And I suppose in a way, like I do, when I need to think about anything, I just went for a walk. And I was up on Passage Road, and I was able to stand in the middle of the street on Passage Road, which you can't normally do, to take a photograph of a beautiful old building up there, which I've photographed many times. And I was just kind of considering, how are we going to cope with this? What's the reality going to be? And, it's a very, very new situation for everyone to deal with. And I just thought, God, I wonder, there must be pictures on phones all over Waterford and Ireland. And I said, I wonder, would people be up for, just actually talking about some of the beautiful buildings that we have in Waterford under a hashtag. And I love Twitter. I get a great kick out of it. It's often entertained me at times which were good and other ones that were difficult. And I just thought, maybe this is a good time. So I just proposed that we would actually just have a little bit of a quiz. And it was as simple as that. I put it up and it instantly kind of got a little bit of legs. And in the meantime, it's kind of got its own legs, really, and it's kind of taken off a bit.
It has, and it's spread across different counties and different areas, and people obviously not living here and different parts of the country and abroad as well. So that's one of the beauties.
It's really heartwarming because, like, it's not about me. It's about Waterford, but it's also about connection. I mean, we've never had more ways to connect, and yet, in many ways, I think we've never been less connected. I know these are really difficult circumstances, and I certainly appreciate that, but we're all experiencing it differently. And I think maybe there's a lot of news out there, and sometimes it's quite overwhelming how to even engage with it or deal with it. And I think this maybe is just a bit of a switch off, but it's a local switch off, and it's got the most wonderful bunch have just decided to engage. Some of them were already active, others weren't.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of given people a little bit of an outlet, and maybe that's where its success lies.
It has, it really has. And there's been some obvious ones. So people effectively take a picture of a particular building maybe, or a site or a location, and it might be, and they may crop it and tidy it up and change it to...
They may crop it a lot.
And there's been some that have been very difficult to try and pick. And there's more obvious ones as well, but it has been good fun, hasn't it?
Yeah, so within your, hopefully either from your phone or within your 2K walk, you can kind of just relook at things. We've this incredibly rich building heritage in Waterford. We've a lot of history there, whether it was, religious or educational or just like through music or arts or whatever. So there's just an incredible amount to explore. And I think maybe it's just time. We've pressed pause on a lot of things at the moment, and I think maybe that pause is allowing us a little bit of time to just say, oh my God, look at that. I've been passing that. I haven't seen it. And I mean, we all think we know Waterford well, but I promise you, we don't. We've all been caught out and kicking ourselves and sitting up trying to figure out where's that door, where's that roof, where's that entrance, or whatever. So there's a bit of competition in there, but really it's much more for just a bit of fun.
It is a bit of fun, yeah.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
And it's lovely. It's lovely to be able to do it, and it does connect people, and people get in touch with other people, and then also
there's been a brilliant connection going on.
And this idea of if you are going out for your walk within a 2 kilometre area, you might see something that you haven't noticed before.
Well, I think there's a lot of people walking around various roads in Waterford, looking up, looking down, looking sideways, and some even maybe down on their hands and knees taking photographs, which I've been known to do myself. And I think we all need a switch off at the moment, because we have to recognise this is an unprecedented situation, but we've got to acknowledge how serious it is. We've got to respect what's going on for ourselves and for others, and for those that are, dealing, at the coalface with it. So this is just a kind of an aside, which is just a bit of fun, and that's really it. But I think it could go further. I think it could go out to other counties, because it doesn't need a curator as such. I don't curate it. I try and read them all, because there's just so much fun there. But it could happen in any county, but it doesn't need its own account as such. It's just under that hashtag, and we have managed, at least on 2 occasions, to trend. I was looking at it this morning. We were above Trump, so that has to be a win. But look, we want to put Waterford on the map, but most of all, we want to appreciate it for ourselves.
Lovely way of putting it. Julie, thank you so much, and continued success, and stay safe to you and your family.
And hi to everyone out there. Listen, keep looking and keep posting, and those of you who have never posted, please post. And read the comments. Even yesterday I asked people to comment on what it meant for them, and there was tears in my eyes. So please, even read that alone.
Lovely.
Thanks, Damien.
Julie Ward, thank you very much.
Cheerio.
Thank
Bye.
you very much. God bless. And it's the Where in Waterford hashtag. So hashtag Where in Waterford on Twitter, on the old Twitter. A few texts. The range is open for paint if they have paint there. Another texter, no rebate for me, Damien. I had a crash last year. The person who hit me vanished. I had to claim on my insurance. No claims on my insurance for 20 years. And a step back policy. But my insurance went up 3 times, from 400 to 1,200. Francis has texted in, I clean Whiting Bay and Ardmore Beach. When I walk, I get no thanks for it. A lot of people, or some people, are filthy, says this texter. Another saying that 2 or 3 white bags of rubbish on the verge of the road between Carrick and Shore, the Carrick roundabout and the Kilmeaden roundabout, may even be that rubbish was picked up and has to be picked up. Let us know what you think. 083 3333 975. I'm sorry if I didn't get to any of your texts and comments so far. Like I said, we've been inundated with texts and comments in the past 7 weeks as this crisis has hit. And other people texting about water. If there's going to be water shortages, that's all we need. You'll hear more about that from Liz and her news team from 12 o'clock on. Thank you, Julie, for producing. Thank you, everybody, for taking part in the show, for all your texts and your comments and your calls. And we will be back tomorrow. Jeff is up next. Stay safe, take care, maintain your social distance.